Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to be here with you. Part 2 of our Cabral HouseCalls. Hopefully you got to tune in yesterday. So many amazing questions from so many amazing people around the world, from the US all the way over to Australia and back. So hopefully you did get to answer or listen in and to those Q&As yesterday. That was episode 2367. Today, we'll be answering questions on episode 2368. So if you want to follow along with today's questions in the community, head on over to stephencabral.com/2368, where we'll be answering all things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, weight gain, and probably everything in between. So it should be fun. As I always say, I don't prep for any of these questions. I just open up the amazing document that my team puts together for me from all the questions that come in. And these ones came in the end of April 24th to be specific. Now, we are exactly now, we are now past the 12-week mark. So I'm just letting people know that so many questions are coming in, and I can only answer 6 Saturday and 6 on Sunday, so 12 a week. Just keep in mind, I would ask your questions at cabralsupportgroup.com, just because you probably don't want to wait 12 weeks to get your answer. And I do my very best, but I am, again, human, unfortunately. And so I do my best, but I would first search it at stephencabral.com/podcast in the search box, and then I would ask it at cabralsupportgroup.com. And if it absolutely must be answered by me, I, of course, am always happy to answer your questions if you don't mind waiting about that 12 weeks, now 13 weeks to get that answered. All right, so let's dive into the questions. Brittany's coming in. Brittany says, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for all that you do and the information you provide. It has been incredibly helpful in my healing journey. Wondering if there's any connection between hemorrhoids and Candida or other gut bacterial overgrowth, especially in women who've had a history with antibiotics from an early age. 10 plus years of birth control and poor refined carbohydrate sugar diet. I'm learning that poor liver function does not allow for proper filtration for bodily functions, and it dawned on me there might be a connection between the two. Thanks again for your insight, knowledge on this. Thanks." All right, great question, and absolutely, there's a direct connection. So let's keep in mind, one of the greatest ways to increase inflammation in your body is through leaky gut. Leaky gut, just real quick, obviously I have an in-depth podcast on it, is when you eat food, and even when you don't, you're spewing proteins in a much larger form than your body's meant to see them as individual amino acids, bacteria, and other waste toxins through your gut wall. And if you see my buddy Walter here, this is 26 feet of digestive tract. And through all of this is the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, the white blood cells surrounded 80% of your immune system. Well, when they see things that aren't supposed to be in the bloodstream, they go after them. What does that do? Well, it causes inflammation. Inflammation is an immune response in most cases. And so that's really important to understand that. So now if the body is inflamed at a systemic level, basically all over the body, well, any point of the body, especially if it's the intestinal tract that's prone to inflammation, such as the varicose veins at the end of the anus, essentially at the anus, could that cause hemorrhoids? Absolutely can be inflamed. So one of the number one things we do when people have hemorrhoids or they have bacterial vaginosis for a female or anything is we actually run the bacterial and parasite stool test first. And if we're able to run another lab, we run the Candida metabolic and vitamins test. So absolutely we do that. Brittany, one more thing I wanted to share with you. I did an episode on episode 2357, and I would love you to check out that one as well, because it's on how birth control actually affects your body and your mind. And it will teach you about how it affects the liver, and no doctors ever talk about that. So that's really important. Thanks, Brittany, for writing in. Nikki's up next. Would you have any ideas on why my toenails have a strong amber or orange tint to them? I take the DNS and Cell Boost and vitamin D, daily hair, magnesium, adrenal soothe, and thyroid. Thanks. Okay. So there's no reason why your toenails should change color, and certainly not with any nutritional supplements. And I can tell you, Again, not with Equilife-based ones, especially the ones that you're taking. And the reason why I say that is that things that could turn orange or tint orange or something like that would be from taking in too much vitamin A. So specifically, I know because I use this in a wellness practice, that I don't double up. I always make sure that everything I do is not mega dosing of supplements. So I assume everyone's going to be using the daily nutritional support every day. So with that assumption, I don't put double the amount of vitamin A in any other products. And the vitamin A that I use in the Equilife products is called beta carotene. So I would implore you to look at two things. And again, I can't provide any medical advice on the show, any medical treatment plans, any medical diagnosis or anything like that. But when I see orange tinted nails, there's multiple things to look at, and I can always do a follow-up for this, but I look at two things. One is I look at yeast overgrowth, and I look at vitamin A overdose. And so the vitamin A overdose could be from someone overdoing liver, intake or retinal pulmonate vitamin A, like a synthetic vitamin A. I would look at those. So look at you can type into Google high vitamin A foods, because vitamin A is a fat soluble vitamin. And so it can become toxic if you take too much of it. Again, we don't go anywhere near 100 times the upper limit. We give 100%. That's it in the vitamins. And it's, again, the natural form beta carotene, which your body can process. So I'd look at that. And the second is I would look for yeast overgrowth. And if you haven't run the Candida metabolic and vitamins test, that's the number one test that I would look at for yeast. All right. So usually it turns the toenails more yellowish, but certainly you can get an orange out of that. So I would look at that for sure. Hopefully that's helpful. Rob says, "Hi, Dr. Stephen. I heard your interview with Jay Ferrugia podcast and was wondering where I can get more information and info on managing and advice on my endomorph body somatotype in order to break metabolic and hormone issues to turn myself into more of a fat burner. Cheers." So Rob, yeah, lots of shows on that. Where I'm going to direct you is go to stephencabral.com/podcast. Scroll through the images at the top and click on the one that says Ayurvedic Answers. And it's going to give you all of my shows on body types. So it's actually going to share with you, okay, if you're more of an endomorph, okay, here's the nutrition, here's the exercise, and I have lots and lots of follow-ups on that. So definitely check that out. It's one of my favorite topics to talk on. So I appreciate you coming in from Jay Ferrugia. He's amazing, one of my favorite people in the industry. And I've got to do a podcast with him again soon. He's been on my show. I've been on his a couple of times. But yeah, we've got to do another show soon. So hopefully that's helpful. And Rob, always do follow-up questions at cabralsupportgroup.com, because Michelle and Daniel over there, they can find you any show that you're looking for sure. All right. Damien's up next. And one other thing, Rob, for endomorphs, the product Fatlocity can work really, really well because it's a whole system. So check that out. Damien's up next. "Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for everything you do. I'm 25 years old and I live in the UK. I recently lost my dad and have suffered from central nervous system fatigue for over a year and a half. I have my diet dialed in, vegetables, healthy fats, fish, etc. Only walk as more causes greater fatigue and heart palpates and body shaking. I use a sauna daily and practice calming rituals like meditation. However, I feel like my body is broken and I don't know what else to do. Doctors don't seem to want to help me, and I'm struggling to live my life. Thank you, Damien." Damien, I feel for you. It's too bad that you lost your dad, and I hope that you are doing well. I'm sure that it was a lot of trauma on the central nervous system, and that your body could be burnt out. And what that means is that you're not producing the proper amount of cortisol, and you might be depleted of your essential electrolytes. And, I love the sauna. I really do. It's one of the best tools I think you could have, but you could be depleting yourself of minerals right now as well. So, I want to help. And the only way I can help and my team is if we know what's going on. So what I'd recommend is running at least the starter kit. The starter kit's going to look at all your vitamin levels, all your mineral levels, your digestion, your heavy metals. Definitely want to start there. It's going to look at your stress levels as well. If you can add one more lab to it, I would do the stress, mood, and metabolism test, which will look at your hormone levels, thyroid, and much more. We'll be able to give you a complete picture and what to do at that point. Again, non-medical advice, but we'd be able to give you exactly what to do at that point. And we do ship labs directly to the UK. I would definitely recommend that because, again, I want to help you. And me just being like, oh, just do this. It's not going to be enough. It's because we're going to leave something out. And so I want to know exactly what's going on in your body. So either run the big five, the big five is the big five. Those are the best. And if not, the starter kit plus the stress, mood, and metabolism. The stress, mood, and metabolism will be a third if you can afford it. If you can't, then of course you're just doing the starter kit. So head on over to stevencabral.com/labs to find all of those. And we look forward to helping you. We really do. And I know that you can get better. I had Addison's disease. And so if I can heal, trust me, you can heal. And I believe that you can. All right, let's get into our next question. The next question is from Shannon, it looks like. And Shannon is saying, hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm starting week 2 of the 21-day detox. I'm struggling with the food list as a lot of foods listed are inflammatory causing, such as beans or lentils or hummus or asparagus or celery or garlic or beets or snow peas, etc. I'm really confused how this detox is supposed to help people who have gut issues. Before starting the detox, I've been following the FODMAP diet, eliminating all foods that cause inflammation. I felt relief and improvements, but also need to go deeper in my healing. Now I'm incorporating all those foods back into my diet. My stomach is more bloated and gassy. I see what you're saying. All right. So you've run the Candida metabolic, you've run the omega-3, you're waiting for your test results. Think about doing the detox, but then probably the CBO afterwards. All right. So a functional medicine detox has nothing to do with the gut, really, like whatsoever, except that it is an anti-inflammatory diet. So all the foods you just listed, lentils, hummus, asparagus, celery, shallots, beets, etc., are all anti-inflammatory foods. So, just to be clear, those are all anti-inflammatory foods. If someone told you they're inflammatory, well, that person is just incorrect. And there's a lot of incorrectness on the internet. But I will say this, you might be referring to them as inflammatory because you have a particular reaction. And I totally get that because all these foods used to affect, for the most part, my gut as well. Then the problem is not with the food, but with the gut. And that's what I try to teach people. So you have an imbalance either with yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth, H. pylori, or parasites, or all 4. And so you ran a Candida metabolic and vitamins test, which is fantastic. So you're going to get the results from that. And then if needed, so that's why please, if you're running a lab, an at-home lab, don't use one of those marketing companies out there. Work with Equilife. Work with your IHP level 2 coach, work with your local naturopathic doctor. Don't just buy a lab online that doesn't give you a plan to go with, right? Because if there's an imbalance in the gut, which most likely, Shannon, you do have, again, I can't provide any medical diagnosis, you'll want to actually do a specialized program, which is the CBO protocol. Now, it's not that you can't get benefit from the detox, but a detox is not a gut repair program. A detox literally gives your liver more of the nutrients it needs to complete phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification, which then, dramatically begins to empty your rain barrel. And so people feel phenomenally better in just 7 days, and especially 21 days. So for you, Shannon, if before you're beginning the plan that your health coach gives you, you want to do the detox, well, you're simply going to have to choose the products and foods that work with you. And you can absolutely do that. So you'll do your days 1 and 2 of your liquid fasting. And then instead of doing beans or hummus, if those don't work for you, totally understand. You'll just use a protein that works for you, and you'll modify it in that way. So there's nothing wrong with that. And by the way, on the detox, garlics, onions, shallots are not necessarily part of it at all, and neither are mushrooms really. But yes, there are any type of vegetable that you would really like. So pick a vegetable that works with your gut. And again, if no vegetables work with your gut, well then for sure we know that there's an overgrowth. Again, no diagnosis of either yeast or bacteria because you're just allowing these foods, which nature provided us, and they give us fiber to be able to move things through the gut as well, you're reacting to because of some type of fermentation-based product, which is why you're getting benefits from the FODMAP diet, and I totally understand that. And so you'll find that if you use our CBO protocol, we take the FODMAP diet to the next level. I mean, we're looking at everything, like every type of inflammatory food, and then we're modifying it for you. So hopefully that was helpful. All right, Maria is up next, and last question today. It says, hello, and thank you for all you do. I'm really enjoying listening to your podcast, and I'm also a member of Equilife. I can really use some help with supporting my children's health. I have 2 girls who just turned 6 and 7, and they are constantly getting sick of something. It seems like every 3 weeks or so, they have something new, whether it's a cough, a cold, the stomach flu, and so on. It's very frustrating. I feel like I do all the right things, which is give them vitamins, make sure they drink enough water, make sure they're eating healthy food, getting outside, being active, but unfortunately, they still get sick frequently. Can you give me any recommendations as to what things I can do and should be doing for them, and anything that you would suggest that I would add additionally? Yeah, absolutely, Maria. So I have a whole show on children's health. So if you ever can't find a podcast like that, absolutely, completely free. Go to cabralsupportgroup.com. Ask, hey, can you help me find this podcast? And again, like I said, the amazing Michelle or Daniel will be able to help you find that free of charge. So, but let me give you some quick tips anyways. So there is nothing wrong with a child getting sick like a half a dozen times a year. That's not actually abnormal. I know some people give me a little bit of pushback on that, but it's not true at all. Like when your body has not encountered a certain pathogen before and you get a cold that's gone within a week, not abnormal. It's actually a sign that your immune system got exposed to this thing, and the mucus it's producing is actually an immune response to remove that pathogen from the body. Not abnormal. Now, if it's every 3 weeks, like you said, that's a different story. That is absolutely a different story. And it sounds like you're doing so much good. So let's say you've already got the food, you've got the movement, you've got the sunlight, you've got the sleep. All right. So again, how old are your kids? Let me see here. 6 and 7. Okay. So still should be getting between 10 and 12 hours of sleep a night. I know that seems like a lot for a lot of parents, but that's the number. In bed by 8 o'clock at the latest, sleeping until 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's for a child that age. Now you can go to bed a little bit earlier if you want. Excuse me. But that's absolutely what we want to be looking at. So sleep, critical. Okay. Now the next part is, what does their gut look like? Because that's the epicenter of their immune system, right? So for me, I would run, and I run this with my daughters, easiest one to do. I know the stool test is not the easiest, which is why we typically run the starter kit with kids instead. Look at all the mineral levels, and then we look at the gut function as well with that Candida metabolic and vitamins test. If you can only do one, you do the Candida metabolic and vitamins test. Now, if you can't, you might want to just start with something like the Clean Gut Probiotic. And your 2 children could actually split the bottle because they don't have to do 2 capsules a day. They could do 1 capsule a day on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, just with breakfast, before breakfast, glass of water with it. And it's a good probiotic. However, I just want to make sure that because they can also get 1 capsule of the daily activated multivitamin or a half a scoop of the daily nutritional support. And that will get them the vitamins and minerals for the day too as a smoothie in the morning. So again, as a parent, I never tell parents what to do. I try to provide guidance and do what I do as well. They can even do just 1/4 of a teaspoon. That's it. That's all they need. 1/4 to 1/3 of a teaspoon of the liquid omega-3. So these are all things that it will dramatically help overall with the body, with the immune system. And then when they do get sick, just make sure they're following my children's immune protocol. I'm hoping by January of, I know it's January, but 6 months from now, because it takes a long time now. I've already formulated these products. I'll tell you, again, I always tell you, I literally open source everything. So if you ever want to use an EcoLife product, you have to understand is I'm totally fine with that. Like I'm completely fine with it. Look at the ingredients. So these are the ingredients that are going to be going into my immune formula. Elderberry, liquid elderberry. So these are all for children. Liquid zinc. They are going to be some thyme, some vitamin C, and a few other herbs as well. So you want to look for those. And what I do is I give my daughter those, both of my daughters, for the entire time until they're better, and then 2 more days. And I do it morning with breakfast, and I do it dinner at dinner. So, and I just use one of those little plastic medicine cups. I pour in the liquid, and that's that. So that's what I do. And again, I'm always going to do what's in the best interest of my daughters to help them out. So hopefully that was helpful. All right, that is our show for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, but I will be back tomorrow on our Mindset and Motivation Monday. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a fun one. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my health results accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.